We've only got an hour, and I think we've got a lot to discuss. If I'm correct, of course, Matt, this is going to be for you, Yar, and I thought I saw
Pavel. Yeah, Pavel's here.
It's here
my
too.
buddy. Yeah, there's Pavel.
Yes, I'm here.
That's
Yeah.
my negotiating guy over there. I love Pavel. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you very much, everybody, for coming this afternoon. This meeting was brought to my attention. Well, actually, it was requested by Matt Fouts, who's online. He's our director, and I may have your title wrong, but I call you the IT infrastructure director.
Yeah. Operations. Yeah, it's fine. Close enough.
All right. I had been going back and forth with him and Yar, inquiring about accessibility as it pertains to Webex, the difference with various different platforms. I know that Patricia had mentioned this. There were others on CAT that had inquiries, and Webex was the platform that we here at TriMet have currently chosen and have been utilizing. He came back to me, wanted to have a conversation with you. So I, at this point, am going to turn it over to him and let him lead this conversation. One thing I did want to mention, though, Matt, before we do begin, I don't know if this is encompassed in your thoughts for this meeting, but as we were going through some accessibility documents on TriMet, it had mentioned Sendero Group. And I understand that Sendero Group went out of business about 3 to 4 years ago and that it's
Right.
no longer supported. So I don't know if you can speak on that right now, but are we looking at some other options to take its place?
Right. Working in IT, I mean, I'm not sure about that one. I know that I've dealt with Mimi in our training department with a lot of the accessibility that they're kind of looking at, and she was very helpful with some of the different pieces as well. But I think Mimi would probably be the one that would probably know the most information on that one. All right. So my name is Matthew Fouts. I'm actually the director of operations and infrastructure for IT. And so I was talking to Margot, and she was mentioning that there was some difficulty using WebEx versus other platforms. And I really wanted, instead of me asking her and then her coming to you guys and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I thought we could just have more of a conversation. There is a couple of things that are going on, and that's the reason why I was kind of curious about this, is that we are looking at a different, or we're looking at possibly a possible different platform we're looking at, and that would be Teams or WebEx. We're still working those details out, but I would like to make sure that if we are going to make a determination on a platform, that we would keep in mind people of disability or and some of the struggles, because if you're sight impaired or hearing impaired or whatever, whatever the disability is, I want to make sure that we capture some of those pieces so that we can be successful. And when Margot was talking, she said, I like to have Zoom because Zoom has more of the more functionality in those areas. And so I was trying to more figure out what the problems have been and where we need to improve, or what we need to be looking for so that we are mindful of these things. So that was kind of what the discussion was. I know last week you guys had a meeting as well, and I know Yar had gone to that, and he may have some updates on some of that stuff as well. But that was my whole piece. Um, so I know
Matthew,
that go on. Sorry.
this is Jan or Margot. Can we just go and say who's here so that everybody knows and can
That'd be
see?
helpful.
Yeah, just that would, I think, be helpful to people that just came in. I can't hear you, Margot. I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to start?
No, yeah, or we can just run down the list. I was just thinking maybe we could run down the list. So,
Okay.
because I know there's a lot. So there's myself, Margot, Charlie, Claudia, Chris, cat member, Marty McGee. We met her. She helps Margot. She does it. And Matthew, who's speaking now, and Patricia Kepler, Pavel, is that how you pronounce it, Pavel? And Ryan and Yar, and they'll be introducing themselves, Matthew, Pavel, and Yar, because they're going to be in the presentation. So thank you. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So I guess what I wanted to start with, maybe help Yar kind of give you an update on what had happened, with your guys' meeting last week. 'Cause there were some questions you guys had about WebEx and such. And we kind of start there, but I would like to kind of end up with just getting a better understanding if there is anything that we could do better, or some of the things we should be focusing on if we're going to go to a different platform, or some of the things that Zoom, some of the different, some of the different functionalities that are available to help out. If this is not the right group, because we are going to look at some other groups as well. So I want to make sure that we're inclusive, and we had in the different groups as well. So this is like one of a few groups that we're going to be talking to. So you already want to kind of start off a little bit if you have some from last week's.
Yeah, sure. So last week, I guess I prepared to talk about a lot of the accessibility features that Webex has, and how it compares to Zoom and other platforms. But instead, I was asked a lot of questions about the features and functionality of Webex. Like, what do what does each button do? Like, if you're using iOS, let's say an iPhone or an iPad, there's a lot of icons people appear to not know what those do. So I jotted down some of the questions, and I've, per Margot's request, I prepared a PDF. It's about to be finished. Hopefully, I can finish it by the end of the day today, with screenshots and descriptions of what each button does in a desktop version if you're using Windows or Mac, and as well as mobile version of the application. Then there were some questions like the chat and other windows disappear when screen sharing begins. I also put that down in the PDF and saying that that some of those the screen layout changes when you're the presenter, and how that looks, and where to find chat participants list and other things when you're presenting. For those that are viewing, they're not the presenter, the view stays the same. And then somebody asked about the latest version of WebEx, the link. I also sent that to Margot, and I'll include that in the PDF. So once the PDF is finished with the instructions, I think Margot can distribute it to the whole to everybody who needs it. But yeah, that's as far as the update from last week.
So Yar, we had a question. Well, actually, we have a statement in chat, but we can turn this into a question. Patricia said that she uses the browser rather installing the app onto her computer, which is basically what I do with Zoom when I have Zoom meetings. So does that change any of the functionality, or will that be in any of the materials that you're putting
That's a
together
good question. As far as I remember, the view doesn't change when you're using the web version of WebEx, but I'll verify that. And if there's anything different or functionalities changes, I'll make sure to mention that in the PDF. That's a good one. I'll put it down.
Right.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And Paul, does everybody know you, Paul? Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
I am Pavel Voivoda, Technical Services Manager. I manage desktop group, mobile device team, and VDI team.
As well, yeah.
So Yar is one of my employees, and Matt is my boss.
Yeah, I'm the boss of him. So the question still remains: what kind of difficulties are you guys experiencing? I know that Yar was talking about buttons and some of the functionality, but is there other issues that you guys have seen that with WebEx that are very difficult to overcome, or that WebEx doesn't have the features that would be beneficial to help help you navigate the system? Oh, yeah. Ryan?
You're muted, Ryan. I got you. Hold on.
There we go.
There you are.
I should be unmuted now. one of the
Yeah.
things is that I use Dragon Naturally Speaking to type, and I also have used Windows Speech because I'm not a primary keyboard user, and so sometimes using the chat windows is difficult, particularly with Dragon Naturally Speaking, because it's not a native. It's the window is not natively available to Dragon because of the way that it's coded. So maybe using the browser would solve that because it would be a straight HTML window as opposed to the app window. But I wasn't aware that there was an option to use the web browser for meetings, because every time I tried that, it asked me to download the app.
Exactly.
So, and I'm very technically literate and I'm fine with downloading the app, but there's sometimes where native HTML is a better idea because it will hook into accessibility features better simply because it is a standard.
Right.
And there are, accessibility requirements within the HTML language that if they stick to that, the technology should work. That doesn't mean it always does work. It means it should work. But so I just wanted to bring that as a potential barrier for me specifically, and also for others that use speech as an input method. Thanks.
So you use Dragon Natural Speaking, but what was the other one you said?
Windows have the latest version of Windows, which I think they're up to 11 now, has much improved speech access,
Okay.
which is accessible by hitting Windows plus H. If you have the latest version of Windows, and that will bring up a kind of a second cousin to Dragon Naturally Speaking that is also worked on by Nuance, because what happened is Nuance got acquired by Microsoft.
Oh,
And so actually Windows 11 uses the same speech engine that Nuance used to use, but it has less functionality than Dragon itself, but it's a good sort of route for other people that use speech.
okay. Nuance. Okay. Okay, that's very helpful. So yeah, all right. So that so trying out. So yeah. Okay. So have you tried Teams at all? Is there other ones that are as good or better than one?
I
or the other?
I can't even get the Teams app to properly install on my computer, and again, I have a real technical background, but Teams seems to be fighting with me and needing me to have a business account in order to use it.
Yes, you're right. Because Microsoft, yeah, and same with Google. Yeah, I see
Right.
that. Yeah.
And so I'm not a business user. I'm not part of a business domain.
Right.
I'm using my home network, so I have a feeling that for people that aren't technically literate, and even those that are, it's sort of, it's hard to even get to that table to begin
Okay.
with, or to have the right operating environment to set that up. So
Ryan, Teams is also available through the browser. I've never installed Teams. I've only accessed team meetings through the browser.
okay, so that might help me too.
Okay. That's good to know. I mean, that's helpful.
Yeah. It's not a very user-friendly app. I always hate when I have to join one of those meetings. It takes forever for me to get online.
Excellent.
So, Brian, are you done?
Yeah, I'm
Do you have
sorry,
anything?
Patricia,
Okay.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't want to cut you off. That's why I'm asking if there was anything else you had to say. Otherwise, I could jump in. So I was late today because between the meeting we had with STAF this morning, or STFAC, or whatever those letters are, and this meeting, I was setting up a new laptop. So it took me 5 tries to get into Webex, because I won't install it. First of all, this isn't my laptop. It belongs to PCC, and I don't think they appreciate me installing things that, So anyway, so I was trying to use the browser, and it kept trying to force me to install it. And it took 4 times before I finally got it to give up and let me come in. so that is problematic. I am blind and use a screen reader. I use JAWS, so I can't activate things with mice. Whenever somebody shares their screen, the entire view changes, and I can only go back to the unmute button by hitting, tap a billion times to get all the way through, rather than like in Zoom, where if the participants list, you hit, I think it's Alt P, and it's a drop down list of participants. WebEx, it's like, for me, for a screen reader, it's like, it's horizontal. It scrolls across, and so I have to get through all the participants before I can get back to the basic mute, unmute, turn the video on, turn the video off, and the chat is hit and miss. Like today, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm on a brand new computer. Today I hit the chat button and it was right there and let me type into something. Typically, I have a real hard time navigating the chats that have been posted. That I sometimes I have to like close the chat and reopen the chat because it just kind of disappears and won't let me read them.
Have they fixed the buttons? I understand in some of those, when you scroll over the buttons, they're there, and instead of telling you what the button says, it just says button.
Yeah, I think everything is labeled, although it doesn't give me the shortcut keys. Like I know there's a shortcut key for mute and for the video for turning on and off your camera, but since I'm only using WebEx when I'm in a TriMet meeting, it's unlike Zoom or Google Meets, where I use those every day at PCC. We're regular Google Meet users. They use the full G Suite for things there. So those, I know all the shortcut keys. They're memorized because they're what I do daily. So without them bothering to include that in their labels, it's not something that gets kind of silently absorbed into my brain. So I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think the video is, and it's 3 keys rather than 2. I think it's like Control Shift B for the video, and I have no idea what it is for mute.
You're right, Patricia. So WebEx does have keyboard shortcuts, but you have to, for many of them, you have to add the shift. So in Zoom, it would be Control P, in WebEx, it would be Control Shift P for participants, for example. Or if you want to open chat, it would be Control E.
Control E?
Correct.
Oh, I mean, it's like, why isn't it C? Why isn't it a letter that has to do with what it is, But yeah.
Yeah, that guide is actually, if you're able to scroll to the top menu bar, help and keyboard shortcuts, or control and // that would
I
open
think I
up.
have to turn off. If I turn off my virtual cursor, maybe that'll work. No, it's with the virtual cursor. Nope, doesn't work for me. Control /
I'll see how I can include that in a guide as well.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
It's helpful shortcuts.
And that's ER Patricia speaking.
Handy.
Yeah, because remember, I'm accessing through the browser, so the Control / does not work.
Oh, okay.
Answer.
I'll have to test how the shortcuts work in the browser.
Okay. So have you tried, Patricia, have you tried Teams at all?
Yes, but again, I only do it through the browser. City of Portland, the Peapod, I'm on some other committees, and they only use, the City of Portland only uses Teams. So I've been on Microsoft Teams meetings several times.
So how is that working for you?
Better than this. Actually, yeah, I mean, I've only been a participant. I haven't had to organize meetings with it. So, I mean, at PCC, I create and organize meetings with Zoom and with Google Meet. So I'm much more familiar with those. But as a simple participant, accessing chat, accessing video and sound, it's been much easier than this.
Okay.
And again, I only use the browser version. I don't install it.
Okay. So I wonder if it's are the keys the same on Teams as they are for Zoom and stuff? Is that kind of is it just they're very similar?
I don't know. I mean, they're different between Google Meets and Zoom. I'll tell you that. Like for Google Meet, Control D turns off your video and Control E turns off your camera. Again, nothing to do with what you're doing. Random letters, right?
Well, Webex actually allows to customize your shortcuts as well. So if you're like more used to, remembering other apps shortcuts, you can customize the Webex ones.
Zoom uses the Alt key and and letter combination, so they don't use Control. So like Alt H is chat for them, and
Right.
so
So you almost have to have a whole cheat sheet for every one you're using.
exactly, which is why if it's not easily accessible to find that, it just makes it really that much harder. And WebEx is definitely, I mean, also both Zoom and Google Meets, it's on the button. It's always there when if you don't know it and you find the button, I can do a screen search for the word, chat or whatever. And when I find it, it'll also say it. So it gets reinforced in my head every time I found it until I have it learned. And that's not done here on WebEx.
Ah, interesting. I did not know that. Okay, well, that's definitely good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And so JAWS, I mean, JAWS is like a screen reader, so you can read the whole screen like line by line with JAWS, correct? Is that how that works?
Unless there's graphics, I can't read pictures. Yeah.
Okay. And then it goes, and does it work like Ryan was saying, he has HTML works better for Dragon Natural? Is that same with like JAWS where a certain kind of a format's better than other formats, or
HTML is always best for accessibility.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, this actually has helped. This is helping a lot. Okay. Is there a possibility that that if we have more questions that we could come back to you, you and Ryan both at different times if there's questions? Would that be fine?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm more than willing to share my
sorry.
screen with you, let you see what my experience is.
That'd be excellent.
Yeah.
Chris, would you like to also be a part of that?
Yeah, sir. Oh, hey, hello, Chris.
She's muted.
Oh,
She's on. Okay, don't touch your mute button. I got
Can you hear me now?
there you go.
And I'm not as blind. Patricia is my go-to because she's the one helping me through as I'm losing so much more. But my biggest thing is that because I can't see because I use an iOS, I use an Apple product.
Okay.
So mine's a little different when we're talking, Microsoft and things like that. But I just immediately when I come into WebEx and only WebEx, it seems that what is it? The reader, for the deaf, it's already reading on there, and it takes me forever to find how to turn that off so that I can then see as much of the screen that I can see, and then be able to hit the buttons on the bottom of the screen to mute or unmute. That's my issue in WebEx, because I turn that off, but then in the next time I come into a WebEx meeting, it's on again.
So the defaults and those kind of things.
I'm guessing. But other than that, I've done okay with WebEx, but I don't work on it all on another system as well as a retired person. So
have you tried Zoom or Teams or any of the other ones?
love Zoom. I do Zoom regularly with my family on a routine basis. Never a problem. I can, deal with that one a lot easier. I've never done the team system. So
okay. I know that most of the stuff that we've read, Zoom is actually way further advanced when it comes to accessibility. I mean, they're further along. I know that there was a mandate. I was reading online, and there was a mandate in 2021 that they came back to all the different companies and said you must, start dealing with, being more inclusive. And I know some of them have done better than others. I know WebEx is getting better, but that you can say that about anything. Like, oh, they're going to get better eventually, but it still doesn't help right now. So that's why I was kind of trying to figure it out. Okay. All right. Okay. And Chris, could we come back to you as well?
Oh, you bet. No problem. Anytime.
Thank you. All right. And Ryan. Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, and so Patricia, can I see your screen? The one that you're going to show? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, still on mute. There you go.
I'm muted now.
Yep, unmuted.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, I was actually trying to find out where there was, like, if there was somewhere in here that listed the shortcut keys. So I got lost in the help menu. So while Chris was talking, I'm sorry. Did you say you wanted me to share my screen?
Yeah, you're going to share your experience. I was kind of curious.
I wasn't sure if you wanted me to do that today. So yeah, let me see if I can.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find where I can share my screen.
That's also a good question. I wonder how screen sharing.
Content.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
I've never tried to share with Webex before, so
it looks like the shortcut is Control-Shift-D. If that helps, Patricia.
Okay, well, I hit share content. There's a button, and now it says optimize for motion and video, optimize for text and images. I need to choose one. I guess I'll go text and images.
Yeah.
Share screen. The entire screen. Okay. So I'm gonna take my headphones off so that you can not only see what I have to do, but you can hear it. All right. Can you see? You guys can see it now?
Not yet.
Oh.
Entire screen. Use what the share.webex.com wants to share the contents of your screen. Select the tab to preview entire screen. Entire screen button to add enter. Meeting is in progress.
Sorry. See, again,
There we
it's
go.
complicated. I had to click
There we
that 3 times. All right. Let me bring the volume up.
Oh, you're okay.
Now we can see it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to close that now. Okay. Am I on Webex now? How do I get out of this to show you what I have to see?
Do Alt Tab again like you did.
Alt.
Or Windows tab.
That stops sharing. If I don't want to do that, I can hide
There we
the
go.
link.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. So now, see, I can't just use a down arrow. I can only tab through each thing. So I can't go up and down. Oh, I'm back in this again. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you need to close that window, Patricia.
I did.
Okay.
I'm closing it again. Okay.
There it is. All right.
There you go.
So we're recording. As you can see, it's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the chat. So let me close that. Let me close the chat. And Eileen joined the meeting. So it's really complicated. This is the only way I can navigate.
That's really helpful.
It's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And when I'm trying, like, for example, when someone says, hey, Patricia, you can talk, and I can't simply quickly go to mute, I have to then go, oh, this way back.
Patricia, so I want to test how the keyboard shortcut works here. Can you do Control M?
Control what?
Control M.
Control M. Oh, that worked. That did work. And Control V, is that on video? Nope, that's paste. What is the mute? What is for video?
It's Control Shift V.
Control Shift V is in Victor, right?
Correct.
And it's a weird because it's like all keys on the left side. I have to put my hands and.
Control Shift V.
Did that turn off my video?
So what? No, it doesn't turn off.
No,
I'm
it
not-
did not.
Stop video button.
It did not stop my video.
Control
Okay,
Shift.
so
Stop video
either
button.
the browser is not translating the shortcuts well into Webex, or they're complicated or conflicting with another application.
But the
Control F. Tab to
the mute does work.
Could it also be that because Patricia is sharing her screen right now, she can't turn off her video?
You should be able to turn off the video while you're screen sharing.
Okay, so that's
As
not
well as
it.
mute.
Sorry, I was just thinking out loud.
But that's a good
That's
guess.
That's a good
I
question.
think that's a really good guess.
share content.
So what about chat? Is there a shortcut key for chat?
Control Shift or Control. Let me. So turn. Show or hide. Chat panel. Control E.
Control E. Function key settings. Big search from history.
No, it says function key settings.
So I see what's going on. It's so the browser is not translating the shortcuts to Webex.
Share.webex.com is share.
And is there a shortcut key for? So I never had that problem with like Zoom or any of those other ones. The
And
shortcut.
are you
keys-
using Zoom and WebView as well, or?
Zoom I actually have installed because that's a PCC.
okay.
It's a PCC license. I have a full account.
That's probably the difference. Huh?
What about is there a shortcut key for raising your hand?
There is. 1 second.
Because it's interesting that the mute key.
Control Shift R.
Control Shift R. Hold on.
Control Shift R.
Did that raise my
So-
hand?
No. Yeah. Sounds like the screen reader or whatever you're using, the voice screen reader application. It sees that shortcut, but the browser is not recognizing those.
It's interesting because
It's not letting Webex know that you've pressed that shortcut.
the mute one works, but nothing else does.
No, I actually didn't see mute work either. Let's do Control M again.
Stop sharing button. Control F.
All right. Well, it said it was muted before.
Stop sharing. Stop sharing button. Stop sharing.
Hold on a minute. Let me-
Escape
Press hide.
button. Control F.
So I don't know if it's muting me or not.
So-
I've hit it so many times I don't know where it's at.
No. Yeah, we can still hear you.
Yeah, and so
Stop sharing button.
it's
Stop
funny
sharing.
because when I hit Control M before, it did actually indicate that it had turned on the mute.
Stop sharing button.
I was
Stop
looking at the
sharing.
mute. I was looking at the mute button. It wasn't going off mute. So
Refresh button. Back button. Tab bar tab. Meeting is in progress. Tab. Frame. Share.
All right.
Options button.
That was very helpful. Actually.
Options button. Mute button to activate. Press
All right, I'm going to try this
Stop
again
video button. Menu. Share button.
without sharing.
Control F. Tab 203 muted.
It says muted, but you can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
You can't hear me.
No, we can't.
Yes,
we can hear you.
Interesting.
Video up. Stop video button.
I think it's the-
Button to activate. Press enter.
It sounds like it's the integration between, or the interface between the HTML or the browser and versus.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
So,
We could
Did
hear
I kill
the
you
whole
guys?
time.
Audio options
And
button.
if
Stop
she-
button.
so-
Video
she
options
can't
button. Menu.
hear
Press
us.
the room to
Yeah, it's like it muted us.
It muted us.
What happened?
Send this page. Create QR
Somebody
code.
typed that message to Patricia so she knows what's going on.
Ryan's over there just cracking up. No empathy, Ryan. Look at you.
All the empathy. That's how I can laugh at people.
what? Yeah.
Virtual meet get started arrow button. Help by Broadway's new arrow button. Learning arrow button. Administrators English arrow button. Closing tab. Close document window. Meeting is in progress. Video options button. Share content. Meeting is in progress. Reactions button. More options button. Leave meeting button. Menu. Participants panel button. Chat panel button. More button. Menu. Escape. Virtual. Meeting is in progress. Meeting information button. Previous page. Previous. Control F. Tab 2 of unmuted.
You guys can't hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. And
Can you hear us?
Okay, it muted you guys.
Oh, that's what you did. Okay.
I heard
So
you the
contr-
whole time, Patricia.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you, so I thought it kicked me out. So Control
Ah.
M muted you guys.
That's
And
too
Charlie,
funny.
did you have
Curious if this will work better in Chrome versus Edge. I'll test it myself in different browsers and see where. it
I am
performs
using
better.
Edge.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie, did you have a suggestion for Patricia?
Oh, I was just trying to put it in the chat to see if she would be able to.
Yeah, no,
hear
so
that read
that's
out instead
that's
of
interesting
us.
that Control M muted you, didn't mute me.
Sounds like some issues there for sure.
So
Totally,
Margo, so you
Patricia, that's
understand a little bit more of the headache I have.
Wow.
I'm
It goes
surprised.
so
Wow.
too, and I don't know how you can listen to all that. It just goes.
I don't either. Because
Yeah.
Yeah,
very fast.
it's really hard when you can't use the shortcut keys, and so I have to hit tab 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 tab.
Yes. Yes.
We
It was,
get it.
yeah. Now we do.
We get it.
You know,
Yeah.
when you were saying tab before, I'm like, oh, it's just tab. But then you have to hear it read it out, every one of those tabs. That's a little frustrating. Yeah.
Well, and I think we need to remember too, there will be some people attending meetings that are also losing their hearing and, can be blind. We have somebody that may be interested in being on one of our committees. So I think Patricia, she is just so good at this and an expert, but we may have other people that aren't. So
we do have one blind user who's actually very skilled, but she has not been able to get onto WebEx. She's going to try and attend our meeting later this afternoon, and hopefully we can get her in. But it's and I think she has installed the app, hasn't she?
she was going to talk to you. I told her to talk to you to
She
see
sent
what she
me
could
a
do
text,
best.
and she said she had installed it, and I told her I have not bothered installing it. I just use the web browser. So so hopefully she'll try that. I do believe the first WebEx meeting we had, I had installed it, and it was a nightmare. And so I uninstalled it and decided to just do the web browser after that because it was horrible.
And we have a young person now, a high school student. I don't know how things work if it works for him. Have you talked with him at all, Margot or Patricia, on how the system
but
works?
I think his father is helping him navigate it. I think his dad's been there with him.
Oh, okay.
Gmail, JAWS group, meeting is Gmail
Come
notification,
on,
virtual web
screen
access.
reader. There. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, this actually has been very, very helpful. I really appreciate you guys spending a little time with us. We'll collect some notes. We'll sit down, have some discussions, but I definitely would not mind using you guys as a resource in the future, because I think they'll be helpful to make sure that we're on the right track and make sure that if there's simple things, if there's simple things that we can do or simple things that could resolve some big problems, that would be good too. Even if it is as simple as just a button on the control bar for, so you can get to different places or whatever that may be. It's very, very helpful.
And we have Claudia. I don't know if you have any, and we also have Charlie with his hand up.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to ask Claudia with your tablet?
No, all the problems that you're going through are, I don't know anything about. I have, like Chris, an iOS operating system, and this works for me. It's had its quirks. Like today, we couldn't get in, and I've had days where I don't know if it was the Wi-Fi or what, where I had to go out and come back a couple of times in order to actually hear people and not have them break up. It could be the video thing that they tried to tell me this morning. I don't know. Teams, I had on my previous iPad, which I still have, I had to download Teams for something and it worked okay. I got a new iPad and I downloaded Teams and it only gave me the microphone. It won't give me the camera. And so I got rid of that app, and then I downloaded it again, and it still won't give me the camera. It won't ask to access my camera. And so I can't use that for Teams. I had a virtual doctor's appointment on Teams, and I couldn't see him, and he was 15 minutes late, and he was on the phone, and it was the worst experience virtually that I've had through this whole thing. Zoom I use for another group I'm on. You know, a lot of times it has to do with the day or what's going on, because sometimes it's fine, other times it's just a nightmare. Everybody breaks up, their screen freezes, or my screen freezes or something. So I don't, I just have the mute, stop video, share, and then the little 4 icons and X at the extreme right hand side that I'm looking at. And I figured out that this little tiny thing in the bottom is so small that even if I could see very well, I wouldn't be able to read it. It's closed captioned. And I come across things because I touched them and I didn't know that I touched them. You know what I mean? If I try to scroll through the participants, sometimes I hit something and then everybody pops up on the other screen, and I didn't even touch layout. It's technology, folks. It's just not going to drive any car I'm ever going to be near. So that's just about it. Unless, Patricia's got that guy in her ear. That would be another reason I don't own firearms, so I didn't shoot my computer. If you don't just say to him, I can't stand the lady at the self-checkout that says, put this in your bag. And I want to say, leave me alone. And I would be the whole meeting going, shut up, shut up, shut up. He talks so fast you couldn't. And I saw him moving through those things, and you wouldn't have time to react to that. That's where I wanted to be, and it would be gone. So I don't know how to help Patricia or Chris or anybody with problems with it, because I can't help myself. So
Yeah. Well, thanks, Claudia. Yeah, thanks, Claudia. Charlie, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, Marty has reminded me in the chat that also there's a feature on Webex that allows you to basically allows Webex to mimic your hand gestures that you make. And so, like, I think clapping.
Oh my gosh, look at you. You're clapping.
What?
Yeah. So there's I think
see that
thumbs
one.
up to and a couple others. So that might also be worth looking into as well for people. Thank you, Marty.
And Jan?
So is there, and I might have missed it at the opening, is there a reason why you don't want to use Zoom TriMet?
One of the pieces is that we would like to standardize on one platform just for support reasons in general, but we want to make sure that whatever we standardize on, that it's inclusive. And so that was kind of the bigger piece. Then because there's a lot of companies that I know that a lot of my peers in other companies where they'll have Zoom and there's one called Blue Jeans. I'm not sure if you guys ever tried that one. That's about as fun as all the rest of them. So there's Blue Jeans and Zoom, and there's and WebEx, and there's Teams, and so a lot of the companies that have said, listen, when you have this many, you're just going to have a lot of things with a lot of problems and not a lot of good support. So we're trying to kind of lean back to funding one, or at least and if we can't, maybe if we have to, then we'll have to do two. But but we're looking for one the best we can, a one standard.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I may be mistaken, but it sounded like Zoom was a good platform for this group. So are there reasons, have you heard from other groups where it is not a good platform for use?
I've seen Zoom had other issues, like when you start doing them in a big corporate environment, Zoom has its own problems. It does have great accessibility, but in other areas it kind of lags. But that's every one of these. I mean, there's no I wish there would be like one that was like the one, but I don't think it really is. It's depending upon the requirements, and that's what we're looking for, is the requirements, to make sure that whatever we do choose, it would be the right one. But Zoom has its own issues. It just doesn't have it. It just, the one thing it does the best is accessibility.
Yeah, and I know the county is starting to use Zoom more in meetings because of issues that they've had with different platforms. And the confidentiality, I work in domestic violence with the county. The domestic confidentiality, they've really raised up on it. Is my understanding. I've never tried to start a meeting or anything, but people have told me that that's been raised up. So if that was a concern, you might look into that.
Okay.
Yeah, the Zoom at first was, I made sure that I turned off my camera and my microphone immediately when we were done with a meeting, because Zoom had a lot of vulnerabilities, but apparently they have plugged those up or patched them or whatever. So I don't know. I still turn off anything that is external.
Yeah.
Like that after any meeting I'm on. So,
Right.
I mean, I know that when I get to heaven, Siri is going to be the one that they question to let me into heaven. She even told me once I said something that wasn't very nice. So I turned off her voice. It's true. Well, the stupid thing wouldn't open. And I kept saying, will you stink open? And she said, that wasn't very nice. And I said, I'm out of this part. I'm done with it. No, no way. It's
That's
not
excellent.
funny. I don't even want.
No, it's not. But Siri frustrates the heck out of me too. So I can relate to that.
It's
And
like-
Alexa,
I
you're
know,
not
it's
better.
weird. It's like all the medical places want you to log into the portal with all of your information there. Are they crazy? I'm not. I already know the vulnerabilities of them having the information and sharing it. I'm going to put myself out there so that they can just tunnel right in. I mean, I haven't got much to give anybody to take, except the thought of that just creeps me out.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share to kind of for us that we think could help us to kind of get the requirements together?
One thing I'd like to ask as you're deciding on that, if you could look into how each of the ones you've kind of narrowed it down to work on a hybrid situation. If you were having an in-person meeting, but somebody could join it virtually and participate in it. We haven't quite come up with the right, I don't know whether the formula or however that works, because it's like when Tom does it, he's in a big room.
Yeah.
And he and other people have been there, but that I don't know that would work for somebody like us, for a group like us. And if we look to that in the coming, maybe next year or wherever, it would be nice to know that whatever platform you pick, people will be able to join virtually and participate virtually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's like our CPC meetings, what we're doing right now with CPC.
Yeah.
That's what we would need. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually that's been kind of the mandate as from the execs well above us. Our pay rate was, we need to accommodate for hybrid meeting environments. And that was, that was like, yeah, you need to be doing this with COVID, because I mean, even after, there's still a lot of people that work from home and at a lot of times. So yeah, it needs to be a hybrid, and there's a lot of etiquette. The more we looked into this, there's lots of issues when you're doing a hybrid conference room, or even like being in a conference room with 15 people and trying to help the person from home feel like they're part of the meeting and not just looking in on the meeting. And so there's lots of research being done across, I mean, all over the place, trying to figure out how to better do this hybrid environment. So, and they're even talking, like, we're looking at for the new our new facility or a new building downtown was some of those environments have like 6 cameras. So they actually, so you can see different parts of the room to help kind of, help out. And there's all kind, yeah, then, lots
Yeah.
of,
We were playing with a document camera the other day in a Zoom meeting, and it worked really well to put the camera on the whole room, and you could, you had the participants that were viewing remotely were able to see everything through the document camera. And the owl, as far as the microphone for the room, having the owl system is really awesome.
yeah, actually, I heard of that one actually.
Yeah.
We actually used it too.
Yeah, we do have that.
Yeah, I was
We
wondering.
have a couple hours just for testing purposes.
That's where I heard it from. Yeah, it was in the comments room.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're pretty amazing. Those are really good.
You know, I
The
also
county
wonder.
is using the owl right now, and we have one out at the Gateway Center. I'm going to go get trained on it in a couple of weeks, but I guess it's amazing.
Excellent. That's good to
I
know.
also wonder if for things like visual description, like tagging the video or the live video in presentations, whether any companies are working on AI tagging systems, because in a static document, and if you have a visual element, you're able to tag it, right? And so it seems to me that like I know that there are some. Google is working on live transcription for meetings, and it has live transcription of like what people are saying in meetings. So the next step of that would be having an AI figure out what the elements within a picture are, and then tagging that picture automatically for visually impaired folks so that they get more access to the presentation, whether it's natively accessible or not. And I haven't heard of any company that's working on that, but it seems like something that's technically feasible with some of the advanced AIs that are being developed now.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, we've been using Able Player for audio description, which is amazing. I highly recommend that. Rather than having somebody go in and actually have to, read through it and then verbalize it, you can write the script, and then it uses synthetic voice to read it, and you can plug it in, you can like move it, so when you play it, and if it's like, oh, that's cutting somebody off, you can move it just a few seconds the other way, and so it fits in really nicely. And it also has the ability to, because like one of the things with, if you've seen audio described films, they have to talk really fast and rush through because it could go in those little quiet spots, or they've tried and do it during the action scenes and the music is so loud you can't really hear it anyway. But the viewer has the ability to select the option to pause the video during description, so it'll read the description and then start the video again, which is really super cool.
Yeah, most definitely.
Patricia, what's it called again? Is it Able Player?
Able Player.
Able Player.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you can
time check, we've
create
got
like
3 minutes
transcripts
left,
with
guys.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Patricia.
No, what was that?
Oh, I was just doing time check. We've got 3 minutes left.
Well, really, what time?
Well, that was
Time
fast.
just flew, didn't it?
Time did fast.
did.
This
Jeez.
has been a really, really very active meeting. It's been a good one. Very good one.
Thanks for setting this up, actually. It's been
Yeah,
real
thank you,
help for
Margo.
me. I'm really tech challenged. So
And yeah,
I'm
I mean, if
proud of
you
it.
need to meet again, and for that matter, if you need me to come to a TriMet office so that, with my laptop, so you guys can actually be there and see for yourselves, because it's a little easier when you can actually view over my shoulder than just see the end result over the screen. I can do that.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Okay. Well, actually, this has been very, very helpful for me. I think Paul, Yar, do you guys have anything else for questions or anything else, or?
Absolutely, it was very helpful. Thank you very much. No questions from me.
Yeah, I took down a lot of notes, so
Yes.
definitely a lot of content to process.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you all for participating. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Margo, for setting this up. This was very helpful for us, and we'll definitely be talking more.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
See y'all later.
Have
Bye,
a good weekend.
Hi, everyone.
Weekend. You
We
mean
have
there's
another
different
meeting.
days? like, you know, it's not all the same day over and over and over. Oh God.
This is, yeah, it feels like Groundhog Day sometimes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.